Alright, so I thought this would be an interesting thing to do today. I went ahead and drafted Michael Mayer onto the Cincinnati Bengals. And I wanted to see if I simulated 10 seasons, how good of a career he'll actually have with the Cincinnati Bengals. Guys do not know, Michael Mayer is the tight end at Notre Dame, and a lot of people are mocking him to the Cincinnati Bengals as he is a pretty much best of everything. He's good at run blocking, he's also good at pass catching. He's kind of like a mix of the perfect tight end for Cincy. Dalton Kincaid is more of the polished, go up and get him type guy who can, open the field with his vertical threat ability, but doesn't really have run blocking ability. And then Donnell Washington is the run blocking guy who doesn't really have receiving ability. So it's like you take Donnell Washington and you take Kincaid and you smash them into one person. Well, that's going to be Michael Mayer. So after 10 seasons, Madden has him at age 30 and him at a 91 overall. So it's actually technically 9 seasons. It would be his 10th season this year in the franchise. But he is 6'4", 251. He is from Notre Dame, as of course. And if we look at his stats, he actually had a pretty dang good career with the Cincinnati Bengals. So he's still with the Cincinnati Bengals, again, after 10 years, which, to be honest, with putting up these type of stats, I'm not surprised he is still with the Bengals. So his first year, in his rookie year, he had 82 receptions, 884 yards, and 3 touchdowns, which, to be honest, is exactly what Cincy needs. A guy who can just open up the field even more, other than Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, or Tyler Boyd. Another threat down the field, who, again, like I said before, does have a lot of good run blocking ability. 86 receptions his second year, 940 yards, and 4 touchdowns. His third season, he had 89 receptions, 931 yards, and 6 touchdowns. His fourth year, he did actually get injured, so he really dropped off a lot his fourth year due to injury. He still had 508 yards and 2 touchdowns, but injuries definitely hurt him. And what did he do? He followed that injury season up with 103 receptions, 1,098 yards, and 8 touchdowns. His best year of his career so far, after going down with injury. His next year, he went 85 receptions, 906 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Following that up, he did get injured yet again. He only missed a couple of games, and by the way, in these injured seasons, he missed like 3 or 4 games, but it did limit his production out of 55 receptions, 585 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Following season, he had 80 receptions, 856 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And then 76 receptions, 794 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And finally, his season we just simulated, 88 receptions, 960 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So, an absolutely phenomenal career for him so far. And I say so far because he has 5 years left on his contract, which is very un-Bengals-like to give a guy this old that much years left on his contract. But he did get the contract when he was 28 years old. So, again, so far, let's be honest, it showed 0 signs of digression by Michael Mayer in this franchise so far. So it makes sense since he wanted him for the foreseeable future. And to be honest, wow, they have him for a bargain. This year, he's actually making $1.29 million. Next year, 11.5, 12, 12.7, and then 13.5. So he is definitely taking kind of a friendly discount this year. He made 3 Pro Bowl appearances in his career. He did not get any kind of MVP award. It's very hard for a tight end to get MVP, obviously. And yeah, so he didn't win any year awards other than 3 Pro Bowl appearances, which is kind of what you expect from a tight end. So overall, not a bad career for Michael Mayer. Now, some other players we know about in the draft, just taking a look at them. If we go through this draft class here, and we go down to Dalton Kincaid, the other tight end that is rumored that Cincy could take here. They actually just met with him the other day. He's an 81 overall, and he had a pretty up and down career. His first couple years sitting behind Kyle Pitts in Atlanta didn't really go well for him. It was kind of a cluster fluff. And then he eventually had a decent year in Atlanta before he went to Carolina and actually really took off. Then he went to Detroit, and he's had 2 bad seasons, but then 2 really amazing seasons. So his career has definitely been up and down. Being a backup tight end kind of sucks because you just don't really have the option to, just take off. You're not the starting tight end, especially if you have someone like Kyle Pitts already there. So, Donnell Washington, I'm expecting, and this is exactly what I expected here, is he's going to have very similar stats to what we see out of Drew Sample, who was drafted as strictly a blocking tight end in the NFL. That's pretty much what we're seeing here from Donnell Washington. He's 6'7", he's 265, and I've said it before, he's like a glorified right tackle. He's not going to be a guy who's going to go out there and put up 700 yards, 800 yards, and 900 yards a season, but he definitely could. It depends on how he develops in the NFL. But it looks like for Cincinnati, they did draft him. I forgot Cincinnati did. Yeah, so in this franchise, Cincinnati drafted him for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons they had him. They actually took him in the second round. Completely forgot about that in this franchise. They took him for 6 years they had him for, and he had 2 receptions, 2 receptions, 2 receptions, 1 reception. He was the backup to Michael Mayer. And again, for his run blocking ability, he really blossomed. He never blossomed as a true receiver, but it's not really saying much. He was Drew Sample, what we see in real life, but for the Cincinnati Bengals here, which is actually really cool. Alright, so the next guy I want to look at is Bijan Robinson. He was actually drafted in this franchise by the LA Chargers. And let's see how his career progressed, because he is one of the top prospects in the NFL right now. And I'm sorry, for the draft-wise, draft prospects. Wow, yeah, he definitely had really bad year here. But overall, pretty consistently, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of decent yards here, 3 back-to-back crazy seasons, and now he is, of course, in his 9th year, and it's where running backs simply start to fall off. So not surprising if he starts to fall off a tad bit, but he's been pretty consistently one of the best halfbacks probably of this draft class, as not every single running back in this draft class is still around in 10 years. Josh Wiley, tight end wise, is retired in this franchise. He retired after his 6th season. I don't know why. He just retires. The other guy that retired was Tank Bigsley. He retired in this franchise, which was kind of annoying because I wanted to see how his career progressed, but he retires after like 6 years. I said once he hit around age 28, he retires, which is, it sucks, man, because I really want to see how he progressed. And I think Gibbs is still around. I want to say Gibbs is a Giant. No, let's see what team got. Oh, no, Commanders. No, okay. I'll check. Let's see what team got Gibbs. So in this franchise, I think, if I remember correctly, Cincinnati took Michael Mayer, then Donnell Washington. So they got both of the guys. I'm not sure they traded up. I don't think they traded up because that's not Cincinnati-like. I think they just got him and he fell to them. But Gibbs actually had not really that great of a career. He spent 4 years behind Tony Pollard in Dallas, then went to Tennessee where he was a backup for Derrick Henry for 3 seasons. But, I mean, let's be honest, still put up some pretty dang good numbers. I think Derrick Henry might have 4 seasons, but I think he might have left. Yeah, so Derrick Henry definitely left before he went to the Tennessee Titans. I think they probably got rid of Derrick Henry, then they brought in Gibbs, and his career definitely took off for them in Tennessee in the last 2 seasons here in Minnesota. So nothing too crazy special there, his last 2 seasons, but definitely had some pretty decent years there. But yeah, so overall, should be an interesting NFL draft, like I said before. If Cincinnati does take, Michael Mayer, and then they followed it up by taking someone like Donnell Washington, we could possibly see exactly what we see here, where Donnell Washington really just becomes the blocker and Michael Mayer becomes the receiving threat tight end. They did just re-sign Drew Sample to a 1-year contract, so maybe you have 2 blocking tight ends, 1 vertical threat tight end. Drew Sample can stay healthy. You could have a really decent roster here moving forward, but overall wise, I want to see this real fast. Is Darnell Wright still in the NFL? He should be. He might not be. Let me see if they mark him as left tackle. Mike Wright, nope, no, he's not in the NFL still. Wow. So again, this does happen in real life. Some players are in the NFL for a certain amount of time, and some players aren't. I mean, after 10 seasons, I think, for the majority, if you go back to the last couple of draft classes, right? You go back like 10, 11 years ago, right? Look at the draft class. How many players actually last 10 years? Not many. So definitely one of those things. And I believe in this franchise that we also drafted Josh Wiley. So I think we drafted Michael Mayer, then we drafted Donnell Washington, then we drafted a cornerback, a running back. I know we drafted Tank Bigsley, and then we drafted Josh Wiley, and all of them retired except for Washington and Michael Mayer. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.